Welcome back, everyone. Craig Steger here. So, video has never been more important than it is now. And I want to explain why that is and some things that you can do to try to maximize video and sort of combat what the reasons that video is becoming so important now. So, why is video more important than ever? Well, there's a couple of big reasons. And I would say that the first reason is that traditional marketing, let's say I'm a lawyer, so a lot of the traditional marketing um, for lawyers recently at least is written online content, SEO type content. Um, the reason why video is so important is that SEO content, like written content on your website, blogs, things of that nature, is number one, it's very expensive to do or very time consuming to do yourself. And there's a lot of competition and a lot of money for that. You still should do it. I do it, but I try very hard to do video as much as I can because you sort of get maximum bang for your buck by putting content out, SEO type content out that is also in video form. And I want to talk a little more about that in a moment. The second big reason why video is so important now is so much content online is generated by AI, and that's mostly written content, but also video content. And you have to be very careful um, if you're putting a lot of written content out there, especially if you're doing it for SEO reasons. Um, don't just have ChatGPT or another AI model generate that for you and then copy and paste it. The LLM models that are sort of searching and scouring that stuff can tell if it was written by a human or written by AI and tend to give preference to content written by humans. That's kind of their whole purpose. So if you're just generating a bunch of content that you want, people to want to show up in search results, do not just use AI content to do that. It's one thing to use AI to help generate content that people are going to find because they're following you or they're getting a link, things of that nature, maybe LinkedIn posts to all your followers. So keep that in mind. If people are going to find your content, your written content, because they're already following you, that's one thing. But if you're wanting organic, new viewers, new listeners, things of that nature, that's why you have to be very careful to be using AI to generate content. And a lot of people are doing that and probably don't realize that they're really hurting their searchability efforts. Um, I see a lot of content being generated by AI. In some ways, it's so hard to tell whether videos are AI generated or not. I think you want to be very careful about using AI generated video content because I think you're going to find that while it may look nicer in some ways than you sort of stumbling through doing video yourself, it probably is going to get less and less traction the more and more that AI itself is the one determining who's going to see your content. So be really, really careful, I think, about generating AI content. You want authentic video content. And that sort of leads me to the third reason why video is so important right now is so many people are using AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Perplexity, any of the different AI models. People are using AI to find people, goods, services that they're looking for. And those models rely heavy on video. And why is that? Because authentic, real video like this, um, the AI models can tell that this is a real human, that I'm a real person, and that is their job to find human content, not to find and produce AI generated content. And so the more and more that people go to ChatGPT or the other AI models to try to find things, it's going to be all the more important that you're reaching people and you're making yourself available to these LLM models through video. And even low quality video is going to be more valuable than high quality AI generated content, including video content. So that's all the reasons. I mean, there's more, but those are the three big reasons why I'm sorry, why video is so important now, especially to, let's say, attorneys such as myself that don't have huge resources to try to compete with some of the larger firms that spend a lot of money and have teams of people building content and putting out content every day. And if you're a entrepreneur, or you've got some side hustle or things like that, or maybe you're just sort of in the beginning stages of marketing and building your business and brand, video is just the best way, I think, the best bang for your buck to start to put yourself out there, to establish a presence, to establish credibility, to establish a following, and put yourself on the radar of LLM models as they become more and more common in doing search results for people. So, with that in mind, let me tell you a little bit about what I've been working on. So, I have been sort of largely absent from this channel for the good part of a year because I've been working very, very hard on some other things to kind of get ready to relaunch this channel. And I'm really, really excited about it. Um, I plan to live stream to this channel 1 to 2 times a week, maybe more if there's need, and it'll probably be around 4:30 or 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time during the week. And I'll also do it on weekends if people have interest. But keep that in mind. I'll live stream. I'll have some things to talk about, but then I'll open it up to questions that people have. Couple of things that I've been working on in order to kind of prepare and make my videos as good as possible is number one, I've been investing in some important equipment. Um, I'm recording this right now with pretty simple equipment. I just have a 4K webcam. It's a Logitech webcam. I'm recording this and live streaming in StreamYard. There's other ways you can do it, and then my audio is simply a DJI mic. Um, I also have and will be using the Rodecaster Video, which is a really amazing product. I'll do some videos on that once I kind of get it set up and going. Um, be able to have multiple camera angles and much better audio and be able to change scenes around and things like that. So I'm really excited to show you some of that stuff. But one of the other things that I've been working on is trying to maximize the real estate in my videos. What do I mean by that? So um, you'll notice I have a new background, and this is something that has sort of been strategically planned out. There may be some tweaks and changes. This is one of the places that I record. This is kind of my remote satellite office near my home. My main office, I have another studio, if you will. It's just a corner of my office that's set up for the types of videos that I'm typically doing there. So these videos that I'm doing right now are primarily directed at other lawyers or other content um, creators, entrepreneurs, podcasters, things of that nature. The videos that I'm doing in my other office are primarily directed at injured people and truckers and farmers. That's kind of my um, ideal audience for those videos. And I'll do another kind of walkthrough of my studio there to kind of point out what I'm doing there and why. And then the other real estate is, I think, your hat and your shirt. I'm not really doing anything today, but there's strategic real estate, especially when you think about recording your videos. And if you're going to make shorts and reels, you're going to be using this middle third of your video for that. And so what's in this middle third is the part that's going to show up on videos. Most of that is your body, depending on how close you are to the camera. So hat, shirt, other things that you can do on your person can be really important in telling the audience, especially new viewers, who you are and what you do. Okay. But let me kind of talk a little bit about some of the things I have in the background here. This is kind of my personal space. This is where I have more stuff that's kind of personal and unique to me. You'll see over here, this is a very cool custom shield with coat of arms for my family from Germany. And then up here is a sword. You can't really see the details. This is a true replica sword. And then and again, it has a lot of the um, symbols and stuff for my family, for the Steger family. And then here, these were actually gifts from our son. This is our oldest son. He's in the Marine Corps. Um, that is not it's not coincidental that that's there. Um, I put that picture there for a reason. People that maybe don't know me, but most people respect the military, and it helps establish a type of relationship and even respect. I got some other things here. I'll talk about these too. This is a Shakespeare book. There's quite a story behind that. I do have some legal stuff here. So this is my law school diploma here, and there's a couple of awards. One's a college award I got. One's a law school award I got. Um, you can't necessarily see what they are in the video, but you can tell that these are awards and acclamations. Um, uh, Awards and what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of it. It's not acclamations. Um, I have an old set of statute books behind me again to kind of, even though I'm not really providing legal content, there is something people recognize this as law books typically, and I'm the video lawyer, and so it helps communicate for people that don't know who I am already, who I am and what I do. I've got some books here, another plaque here that kind of, again, provides you with credibility. So if you have things like that that you can include in your background, place them there strategically. And then here I have a hat. This is from the trucking school I went to. It's one of the things I accomplished this last year is I got my Class A commercial driver's license, and that's one of the things I rely heavily on in my marketing efforts to truckers and injured truckers and people injured by truckers. Um, so anyway, I want think about your background and if possible, as well as your clothing, and try to think about who you are trying to talk to and how you want them, what you want them to figure out as soon as possible. And we're going to go over here in a moment. I'm going to bring up, I'm going to kind of scroll through my YouTube um, feed, and I want to show you some good examples and not so great examples of other other thumbnails and cover art and things like that that can make a big difference on whether people click on your videos or not. Um, so one of the things that I think people don't really think about, and something I'm trying to be more and more purposeful about when I'm making content, especially once it's out there, is how do I identify, how do I get people to click on my videos? You could make a great video, but if someone doesn't click on it, it doesn't really mean anything, right? How do you get people to click on your videos? Most of us, myself included, for a long time, put a lot of effort into putting together good videos, and then just kind of threw together thumbnails and titles at the end, if you do thumbnails at all, right? It's so important to become more and more purposeful and intentional about what your videos look like when they're showing up in the feed, whether it's on on a phone or in someone's computer feed. It's very important to be thinking about them and what that looks like on their end when you're putting your videos out, to try to give yourself every opportunity to get someone to click on your video, because if they don't click on your video, the greatest video of the world doesn't do much, right? So what I want to do right now is, before I do that, I'm going to flip a switch so my heater doesn't turn on here. Okay. It gets very loud in this room when the furnace kicks on. So right now what I want to do is I want to kind of just go through some of the channels that I follow. I follow a lot of legal channels because I'm trying to see what other people are doing, see how my stuff compares, see if there's things that I can learn from others. I also follow a lot of creator type channels. So you'll see those, and usually those are pretty good examples of what to do in your thumbnails and titles and things like that. So um, kind of a disclaimer before I do this. I don't mean to pick on anyone in these videos that I'm showing. Some of these are friends of mine. I want to make observations, both for their benefit as well as yours. And so you can start thinking about it when you're putting this out. What is this going to look like in some person's feed that doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what your video is about, and doesn't know why they should click on your video? So let's go ahead and start. Oh, no, not that one. Um, oh, let's see here. I think we go. There we go. That's better. Don't need to show you my email inbox. Okay, so this here is, you know, just my subscribe. This is my subscription inbox to one of my channels, and I kind of want to go through it and sort of point out some things or ask you to think about it. So as we're going through this, what I want you to do is think about, put yourself in the perspective of someone that's never seen these videos before and maybe doesn't know who these people are. So um, without even looking at the title, I want you to just look at the thumbnail or image. Can you tell anything about who this person is or what they do? And if possible, what is the video about? Those are the three things that you need to accomplish in order to get someone to click your video. They need to know who or what you do, what who you want to watch your video. So you want this person to watch your video. So who's your video for, and what's your video about? If possible, we want the thumbnail to tell all those things, because then you have the title to reinforce that or to provide more background or reasons why they should click on it. Sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you need the title to tell what the video is about, which makes it all the more important that your thumbnail, your cover art, tell people who you are, what you do, and who you want to watch your video. So let's kind of go through this a little bit. Um, if you've been on, and this is obviously YouTube web browser here. You'll have both long form and then short form. Where are my short form? Let's do this. There we go. There's our shorts. Okay. Well, I'm just going to kind of go through top. I'm not going to go through all these, but I just want to kind of give you some things that I observe for what it's worth. Okay. So this first video right here is Jim Hacking's page. Jim is a great lawyer. He's a friend of mine. He does, I think, a daily, almost every day, maybe even weekends, a daily show just on daily live stream just on immigration. And so this is one you can see he's up to episode 974. This one's actually live right now. This is actually this looks like this video is going on right now. There's 381 people watching it, right? Um, when he's done, it will show up, and this is what you will see. Now, one thing that I've noticed, a lot of attorneys, myself included, have sort of gone away from more the traditional shirt and tie, suit coat, all that kind of stuff. We're casual and sometimes really casual. And I think that's fine once you have someone watching your video, but you have to remember sometimes you need them to know you're a lawyer, and then it's fine if you want to dress casual. That's my feeling. Now you see in this one here, Jim is wearing a shirt and tie. Having a shirt and tie on is an indication that someone is a professional, maybe a lawyer, right? There's nothing else on it. And then the title, the Immigration Answer Show, episode 974, doesn't say what the episode is about. And quite frankly, there isn't usually a topic. It's truly question and answer. One of the things about he has a huge following, and he has people that show up every single time or regularly. And so for him, it's not as important to be, for these videos to be attracting new people, because most of the time it's people that already know about him and are already following him. Okay. um I'm gonna move on to this. Actually, I'm gonna show you these ones here. The third and the fourth one. This is a podcast of a friend of mine from Kansas City. Um, Same podcast, same video, and you will see one came out. This one came out an hour ago. This one came out 2 hours ago. Um, the reason I believe, I haven't asked him, the reason I believe it shows up twice is this one here is the one that he produced for YouTube. And then this one here, I believe, is one that automatically gets uploaded to YouTube through some sort of an RSS feed. Some of your podcast platforms, audio podcast platforms, will automatically populate YouTube. Substack gives you the option to do that too. So I believe this is, I don't think he's separately uploading things to YouTube. I think it's being secondarily uploaded. And you can see if you click on it, it's an audiogram, right? Generally speaking, you don't want to put audiograms, in my opinion, on YouTube. They're just not usually as effective, especially, there's no cover art there. Someone who's never seen that may scroll past without ever looking at the title. But so this one here, he's got a thumbnail. A few things I like about it. It's clear and stands out. Now he's not on it. Now that may not be necessary, but there's no person in it. You have very bright background. That yellow background stands out in someone's feed, right? That's a common thing that people do in their thumbnails to try to get them to stand out in feeds. Don't sabotage your case. Um, you can't necessarily tell from the thumbnail that this is legal content unless you look down here in very small letters. You can see the injury law pod. Maybe someone could see that. I think it's probably too small for someone to be able to tell from scrolling. So I think the fact that it says case is really the only indication from that thumbnail that this is legal content. But it's definitely better than the one on the left, right? It's definitely, it at least makes someone stop. And then if they do stop, you want to get them to stop, and you want them to look at the title. So then they say, "Don't sabotage your case. What to do right after an accident, Northland injury law." So the thumbnail may accomplish its goal of making someone stop, but it doesn't necessarily, in and of itself, tell who this is, what they do, or what the video is about necessarily, right? Something to think about. So let's scroll down here. um, so this next group here, other than the fourth one, is non-legal. This is Gary Vandercheck, Gary V. I love his content. If you're not following Gary V, I strongly recommend it. If you're using or wanting to use video or social media in your marketing, especially organic social media, that's a huge thing that he emphasizes. Um, I recognize Gary V. Maybe I wouldn't if I wasn't subscribing to him, but his thumbnail, you can tell that. So it says adapt or lose. And you see here, that's a robot. I'm sure everyone can figure out that's about AI, technology. So that that's about what you can glean from that. And then you go down, and then the title is "The Safe Job is Officially Dead." And maybe people recognize Gary V, like his name means something, even to people who haven't watched his content. Um, I'm gonna kind of skip over these next two here. These are pretty well. This one here in particular is a very well-known social media creator and brander. Um, so this here, bankruptcy nerd alert. This is a This is by Rebel Esquire. So if you click on this, or if you see this, the thumbnail or the um, cover is bankruptcy nerd alert. I'm guessing that this is probably their standard thumbnail. They probably don't create a new one for every video. You could probably maybe you can tell from bankruptcy that this is legal content, but that wouldn't necessarily be the case. I don't think you can tell much more about what the episode is about based only on the thumbnail. And you can't necessarily tell much about what it's about by looking at the title. Um, I don't know that I've really watched their videos too much, so I don't know what they're about. This would be more so for people that are already subscribing and want to keep watching your content when it shows up. So that's something one thing to keep in mind. There may be an advantage to having your thumbnails be very consistent when you want returning video subscribers to watch your videos when you put new videos out. That, of course, is dependent upon them knowing who you are or subscribing in the first place. So keep in mind as you're doing your content, if your content is primarily designed at people who already know who you are, already recognize your channel, then it's not as important that the thumbnail communicate much other than you have a new video out and maybe what the video is about. But the title is really important, I think, to tell people what this particular video is about if they're not necessarily watching every one of your videos. So let me scroll down here a little bit. And again, I think it's important. These are all people I subscribe to, so I recognize most of these, but try to put yourself in the place of someone that doesn't know who you are, hasn't seen your content before. And for most people, they're going to look at the image if they stop to look at it all, and that's going to be the thing that either makes them stop or continue scrolling. They don't probably get to the title or the name of the channel unless the image itself makes them stop and communicate something to them. So this here video, this is the Maximum Lawyer. Um, this is Tyson Mutrix. He's a very, very good personal injury attorney, I think out of St. Louis, Missouri. And this here is Chris Early. He's an attorney, I think, in Massachusetts. I know both these guys. I've met Tyson. I haven't met Chris before, but I'm very familiar with both of their content, right? So when I see this, I know who that is. Actually, I know who both of those are, and this would be a video that I probably would be interested in because I think Chris Early puts out some good content. He has his own podcast, but here he's on Tyson's show. Um, but if you're not already familiar with those people, would you know who they are, and would you know that they're lawyers? Probably not from looking at Tyson's picture here in the background. Maybe from Chris in his button-up shirt. He's generally pretty casual. He's usually in a ball cap and a t-shirt, kind of like I am. So you may not know that these are lawyers unless and until you click on the title. And the title, you look at the title, and the title, of course, says "Why Lawyers Can't Ignore What's Going On." It's the Maximum Lawyer channel. So again, I think it could be maybe more effective on the thumbnail if it indicated that this is legal content, that these guys are lawyers. You can either do that with words, or let's say if you do in fact have a shirt and tie on, that is a pretty good indicator that you're an attorney. So that is sort of the two-edged sword, in my opinion, about going to the more casual look. Actually, so many lawyers now, myself included, have gotten pretty casual on videos that it actually makes you stand out more if you're wearing a shirt and tie or a suit or something like that. So that's something I think about when I'm doing my videos. um, I want to go over here to this video here. The lawyer, he is a more of a celebrity lawyer. His content is more about getting views as opposed to, let's say, Tyson and Chris, who are trying to primarily generate referrals, B2B contacts. Tyson has a maximum lawyer group that you pay to be in. I'm in that group. So he's targeting other, both of these guys are probably targeting lawyers by this video as opposed to potential clients, potential personal injury clients. So that's something to keep in mind. Whereas, the lawyer channel is more just looking for views, and he's looking for ad revenue and stuff like that. Most of us are not in that position and probably never will be. So that's something to keep in mind is, views are great, clicks are great, but is it being done by people that you actually want to click on your videos and potentially do business with you or consume your content? So I want to go to shorts now because I think shorts are even more interesting because shorts I think tend to be the way that most people find you for the first time. You're on your phone, you're scrolling, the algorithm puts shorts in your feed, and you got just a slightest of a second to get someone to stop and look at one of your videos and maybe even click and look at the title and possibly click on the video. So the first video here on the left, so this is Jim Hacking. So we saw his long form up here, that the Immigration Answers show. This is one of his shorts, right? So if you look at, I want to just look just at the thumbnail and not the title, right? Because I think you have to remember that most people are not going to look at the title unless and until they look at the thumbnail and see enough reason to stop, right? So from his um, thumbnail, can you tell he's a lawyer? Probably not, unless you recognize him like I do. The American flag, maybe that is indicative of immigration. I think CIS. I think that I'm not sure if that's an acronym in the immigration world that I'm not familiar with. I don't do immigration work, but obviously the words at the top, what you still don't get about Immigration America, um, at a bare minimum, communicates that this video is about immigration. May or may not be a lawyer. And then if someone looks down at the title, immigrants need to know people running UCIS, don't want to give, and then that's all you can see. So I don't know how. There probably are ways to make that short better. Um, this next short here is not a lawyer. He, like I said, he's a content creator. I think he probably, if you look just at his image and don't look at the title, and you don't know who he is, barrier to entry. This probably doesn't tell you much about who this person is or what the video is about. In fact, it doesn't, right? And it doesn't necessarily tell anyone, if I'm the person that this video is for. The only way they would know that, probably, unless they recognize him, is to look at the title, short form or long form content. So now I know he has a video about long form or short form video content. And if I'm interested in that, I might click on it. So the next one, um, again, if you look at, well, even with the title, but let's just look at the image. Speed at 70. I don't know what that is. I don't. Could be a lot of things. Is it driving speed? Is it taking speed at age 70? You really don't know from the text. Now, from the person, um, this is someone that's either wealthy or professional or both, right? Maybe it's a lawyer, maybe it's not. I'm assuming it is. I don't recognize this channel, but it must be one I'm subscribed to. Probably a lawyer. How to drive in Columbus. Is this a how-to video? What is it? I think there are a lot of things that they might want to do to communicate through the thumbnail and the title who they are, what they do, and what the video is about and who this video is for, right? Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this is Northland Injury Group. I think it's Eric. Bartlett, I think is his name, and this is his long form podcast up here, just So again, this is one of his shorts and reels. We look just at the image. Can we tell from the image who he is or what he does? Um, maybe. It doesn't scream lawyer. We can tell he's a podcaster, right? We can see the mic, we can see the headphones. Um, you can maybe look at you can see the word law. If you don't know that's Northland injury law, you may not recognize it. So that the shirt doesn't necessarily communicate much. So I don't think you can. I would say for someone that is quickly scrolling on their phone and looking at this, they're probably not going to know just by looking at the thumbnail image that this is an attorney, that this is legal content, um, or what the video is about. But let's look at the text on it. We're going to be on the phone, and it's not going. Um, what this is, I believe, this is not. This isn't text that was intended to be on the thumbnail. This is part of the text of this video that YouTube automatically selects a spot. It doesn't really mean much without watching the whole video. So that's something you want to think about when you're doing your video. What's it going to look like on a screen now, on someone's feed, right? One of the things that you can do that most people don't, and I don't think at least any of the lawyers on here are probably doing, is actually going in and selecting the place on the video that you want to show up as the cover art in someone's feed. I'm going to scroll down. I'll try to show you one of my videos just to show you what I do and why I'm doing it. Okay, for that very reason. um, so we got more long form content here. Um, I want to show you. I want to show you these two. Actually, this video here. Okay. So this is attorney Mark Lopez, a friend of mine, and probably one of the most successful YouTube lawyers that I know that's doing it for purposes of their business, not necessarily to be celebrity lawyers and generate ad revenue. He has, I think he just hit over 100,000 subscribers, so he's doing something right. He has a criminal defense practice, I think in Ohio, Indiana, somewhere over in that area. I can't remember exactly which one. Um, but let's just look at his thumbnail because his thumbnails I think, are better than most, right? So, first of all, what can you tell from the thumbnail who this is and what it's about? Now, you see a gentleman here in a suit and tie. I think it probably is a good idea for lawyers to be in a suit and tie on a thumbnail if you want to communicate that you are an attorney. If it's not all otherwise sort of clear from other stuff on the thumbnail that you're an attorney and this is legal content. You can tell what are some other things? Can we tell you about what the video is about? You can looks like jail cell bars. So this is probably an indication this is a criminal defense attorney and this is criminal defense content. It's about restraining orders. And then if you go down, if they stop and they look at the title, can I go to jail for violating a restraining order? That pretty clearly tells this person this is an attorney, this is what it's about. And then of course the content creator is attorney Mark Lopez Law Firm. You'll see that in the long form feed, you can see the title, you can see you can see the creator, you can see the name of the channel. In short form, you typically can't. So that's something to keep in mind is um, you kind of have to either tell on the thumbnail or the description that you're a lawyer, legal content, or if you're a doctor, that you're a doctor, and this is that kind of content. You have to kind of communicate that primarily through the thumbnail. On long form, you can kind of get away with, you know, maybe saving it for the title and or the name of the channel if necessary. What you want to avoid, I think, and let me give you an example here. So this third one here is this is a channel. This is a kind of a podcast. They kind of have a standard thumbnail. I don't think they do special thumbnails for each video like Mark does here. This is kind of their standard thumbnail, and then they've got a lot of text on there. I think that's probably too much text. But it's a little easier on a long form video as opposed to a short form video. With a short form, you really want to be um, efficient with what you put on the screen, on the thumbnail or cover art. So let me just scroll down and see. This is another lawyer this is actually, she's also a very successful um, lawyer on YouTube. They put a lot of effort into the thumbnails. Her husband, I think, has a social media and marketing company that does this for her. So you can see there is a lot of some of the common features. It is usually it's a person with a facial expression, clear image, minimal words, and then using arrows and other art to grab people's attention. Um, Eminent domain, for those people that, most people probably kind of know what that is. That's a legal concept. This is about real estate. Me, for women, it's not necessarily as easy to communicate that you're an attorney as it is for men, simply because the shirt and tie and sport coat is a kind of the telltale sign of someone being an attorney. So there probably isn't an easy way for her to communicate that she's an attorney in the thumbnail, but she has a very, very catchy thumbnail. And then, of course, if they stop long enough to look at the title and the channel, they'll see that she's a lawyer and this is legal content. Um, I I want to show you this one here. So this is there's I think some problems with this one that they may want to think about here. So first of all, this is showing up in the long form feed. Um, it's a long form video, but it's in the portrait mode, so it doesn't look nice. First of all, it looks like the video is 7 minutes 58 seconds, so just under 8 minutes. Um, Looking at the thumbnail, and of course, it doesn't look like they created a thumbnail. They just recorded the video and put it up. There's not even captions on this one. I don't know if there's captions in the actual video. But if you look at the video, can you tell who this is or what the video is about? Probably can't tell that this is an attorney or that this is legal content. And you really can't tell anything about what this video is about unless you actually look at the title and the name of the channel. So that's something to keep in mind. I think if you're going to put long form video, you generally don't want to do um, portrait mode, because you lose a lot of valuable real estate for telling people what your video is about. Um, this here, let me give you a good example here, a good side by side comparison. So these two videos here, these are both videos. This looks like it's kind of the long form. This is Tyson Mutrux. We looked at one of his videos before. Same interview. The one up above was just an excerpt of it. This is the full version. And again, you can see this is very interesting. I think you can learn a lot from this. This is the same video, and as I mentioned before, the one on the right is specifically being put on here on for YouTube, and so um, they put together a custom thumbnail for this. This is a really good thumbnail. Um, Now, I recognize him as Chris Hurley. Maybe a lot of lawyers would. Maybe people would recognize him as an attorney by virtue of the fact that he's got a sport coat on, even though there's no tie on. There's a quote: "I couldn't get a job, so I hung a shingle." That's a common legal term for starting your own law firm. That's probably the most amount of words that you would want on a thumbnail, but that's a pretty decent thumbnail, at least enough that provides enough indicators to lawyers scrolling through this that this might be legal content. So then they go down, look at the title, see this is Maximum Lawyer. Okay, do I want to click on that? Same video here on the left. Um, this is just audio, so there's no video there. This again is something that's pushed, I'm sure, pushed to YouTube from one of their podcasting sites, so that's why it shows up twice, and it is just not near as effective, right? I mean, the thumbnail, there's the whole title on it. You really can't read it. Um, it and it doesn't cover the whole screen, and you can just tell from it 3 days in. This one has 4 views. This one has 24 views. So if they were just doing this version, I would say don't do that. Do this. The fact that they're doing both, there probably isn't any harm in having both on there. But it's a very nice side by side comparison of the exact same video, but with very different um, things in terms of how it appears in someone's feed. Let me scroll down some more here. So this here, let me look at this video here. Okay. So this is a big channel. I think that is that Top Dog. I can't remember if that's Top Dog. I don't think it is. But he has a pretty big channel. Um, what can we tell about this thumbnail? Well, first of all, the guy, that's actually him. That's the attorney, and he's in a suit and tie, nice looking suit and tie. That's a strong indicator that he's probably an attorney. And then the text, State Farm, the worst insurance. Maybe he's an insurance agent, whatever. But you know, that's a very, very good, effective thumbnail to get someone to stop um, and look, right. And so then 11 minutes of why State Farm is the worst insurance, and then it's got his name. Um, you know, I will note that it's just his name. It's not like one of these other ones that indicate that they're attorneys or law firms. So maybe that's something he would want to consider. Again, I'm not telling him how to do because he's got a far more successful channel than I do. But these are things that you can observe by kind of going through these videos. Um, this is actually one of my videos here. Um, this is a video I put out on two of my channels for me driving semi. um, I didn't put a custom thumbnail for this, but you know, it was a fun video to do, and I'll tell you kind of if you ever want to do, I'll put a video together showing you how I do that. I want to get down to one of my shorts, just to kind of show you what my shorts look like compared to other people. Let's see, all long form here. Dun, 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 dun. This is one of my videos. This is custom thumbnail. This is a live stream, small channels. I didn't get much traction on that, as you can see. Let me go to shorts here, see if I can get uh, that. I want to see. Here's what I want to do. I'm try this once. All right, now you can see lots of shorts here. This is mostly lawyer shorts. Um, these are it's hard. I think it's hard to make legal content that people want to click on if it's not designed to be, clickbaity, entertaining. It's, you know, unless someone is searching for personal injury attorney, most people aren't going to click on those videos, myself included, right? But this is a personal injury um, video. This is you can tell you can pretty much tell from the suit and tie that this is an attorney. Got a lawsuit on a claim. Yeah, again, that is a kind of a randomly chosen moment in that video that YouTube selected for the cover art. Maybe they at least want to adjust that to something else that makes more sense in sort of in context. This here is an attorney. Um, I would like to see him either dress up as an attorney or put something on his um, on the cover and the background to indicate that he's an attorney. This is one of the challenges, I think, to being casual as an attorney, unless you have other indicators. that you're an attorney. And you really can't tell from this what the video is about because, again, this is just a part of the captions, sort of done in without context, right? This is Chris Early. I'm not sure if that this looks like it's probably a clip from the Maximum Lawyer. Again, this short is not very effective. Now, most of these shorts, and this is how I do my shorts too, are published automatically to YouTube from some other service. I use a program called Opus. It's great. You can auto publish shorts and reels to different channels. I suspect that's what a lot of these are. Um, but what you need to do is either you need to go in and change the cover, change the thumbnail position once it's been published, or put something on it so that wherever it shows up, people can tell who you are and what it's about, right? That's one thing I think people need to really think about. It's something I try to think about in my videos here, and I'll show you here in a second. This is another lawyer. He's a buddy of mine. You can't tell anything. You can't tell he's an attorney. Can't tell what this video is about based only on that. Um, this is another one. This is an attorney. He does nursing home cases. Again, you can't really tell from the image or the text on here who that is, what they do, or what the video is about, right? You have to hope they click on it. Let's see here. Scroll down here. There, I got a couple of mine, but let me show you. So this is a buddy of mine too. He's an attorney. His ideal client is farmers. So he tries to relate to them. So he can't really tell from his hat, but I think it's a camo hat. He oftentimes does his filming in his barn. He has a little acreage or a small farm. Um, the problem with this thumbnail is it doesn't communicate that he's an attorney, that this is legal content, or who this is for. You can't when you work again. It doesn't really. None of these communicate much to get someone to click on them unless they already know who you are. And my feeling is people who already know who you are probably aren't going to click on your short form content. They're more likely, if they're going to do anything, to hopefully watch your longer form video. So that's something to keep in mind. But let me show you a couple of my videos here. Okay. Um, these ones here, taken at my other studio. This is a video for farmers, and this is a video for truckers. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what I do to try to get my shorts to stand out in someone's short feed. Okay, so um, nothing in these videos is, let's say, unintentional. Um, so I don't wear a shirt and tie in my videos. I'm thinking about changing that, but I do have some legal books here. If you watch the whole if you watch the full size video, there's a lot more stuff there. But I have the scales of justice up here, uh, purposely to indicate to someone, or at least give a suggestion to them, that I'm an attorney, right? Um, and I'm actually been thinking about going, changing the size of my videos so that a little more of the background shows up even in these shorts and reels, because like I said, the real estate on your shorts is very precious. You want to use it very strategically. So this is a trucking video. Trailer manufacturer chose profits over safety. This one got a lot of views. um, this one I tell people this is for farmers. Check this as insurance. I think, between that and this, I think there's you know, I'm kind of telling people that I'm an attorney and this is legal content and this is for farmers, right? I like to limit the amount of words I put on these. I always this is I do all of my shorts and reels this way. I put the white text with black lettering, and I specifically put it where I do, because usually in someone's feed, especially if they're on their phone, there will be stuff, there will be text up here, and there'll be text down here, and it can interfere with that. And so putting it right here, kind of right under my big chin, is usually a safe place to put that. And I try to keep that the fewer words as possible, and I try to keep it at 2 lines if possible. This one you can see is doesn't follow a rule, but it still did okay. But that's why I do it that way. And one of the other reasons I do it, I have that in the entire video. So no matter where YouTube or TikTok or whatever decides to set the cover art, that text is going to show up on the screen. And of course, the stuff in the background is going to show up on the screen. I generally take the step further. I go in and I actually, or I have a staff person go in and adjust the cover art to the optimal place. Hopefully, I don't have my eyes closed or something like that. Or I'm not looking um, excessively weird. Those are things that you can do. But if you're just kind of publishing them and then hoping that the algorithm picks a good spot, I think that's a mistake because you're putting all the work into making the videos, and it just takes a few more moments to kind of go in and make those changes and improve the quality of your video. This is also one of the reasons why I don't like to put captions in my videos. Now, there are pros and cons to putting captions in your video. And by captions, I mean like this, the text that scrolls when you're talking. The main reason I don't do it is because I put these on my screen. If I wasn't putting this on my screen, or if there was room up here, I would almost certainly put captions. The problem is if someone has their closed captioning set up on their phone, that's going to show up over over this. It probably is going to compete with this here as well. But when you have captions over captions, then you can't see either one. So I don't like to put captions on my videos for that reason, and I like to keep them clean. And I don't like these sort of out of context random statements to show up on the cover art if I'm not going to have a chance to go in and adjust it. Um, the main disadvantage to my approach is by putting the text captions on your videos, that makes it easier for the LLM models, ChatGPT, those kinds of things, to be able to scrub and tell what your video is about. Um, Google and YouTube will be able to process your video and know what you're saying. You don't need to put the captions on, quite frankly, for YouTube's sake, because it's already processing that. But the LLM models, things like that, that are going out searching, I'm not sure that they can do the same thing, that they can process the audio and convert it to text. But if you have the text on screen, they can grab that. So one of the things that I've been experimenting with is maybe reframing or resizing my videos so that either I can get this kind of up here near the top of the video, or possibly put captions on, but make them very, very small. Um, where I'm not even expecting the people that watch my videos to see it, but I want the text as part of the video. So that's something that I'm kind of working on. But I want you can just kind of see, at least in theory, how some of these other shorts and reels don't communicate certain things about the person with the video, what it's about, or who it's for, the way that at least I'm attempting to do with these videos. So anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to show you there. I will probably make that kind of a regular thing to go through that, because I think it is so important to be really being intentional with your thumbnails and titles. It can be hard to do that for shorts and reels, especially if you're putting a lot of them out, because it takes time, right? I try to put out one or more a day for my channels, and I have 3 to 4 channels that I'm producing content for. So it can be hard. Um, One of the things that I'm working on with my team, and one of the things I'll be talking about in the Slack group or whatever, if you want to join that, is we are putting more of the short form content out without necessarily doing these additional steps. But then when we identify videos that do especially well, we may actually go back and redo them, and this time put more thought, more time, more planning into the title, into the thumbnail, into the cover, whatever it is, because we have kind of proof of concept. So once you kind of know that a video is doing well as is, if you make some enhancements, then maybe you can go back and repost it. So that's kind of one of the things I'm working on that you might try. So anyway, I apologize. This got a little longer than I wanted, but I think it's really important. It's really, really important. If you're going to make a video, whether it's a great video or not a very great video, it doesn't do much if people don't click on it, right? And so you got to get people to click on it, and before people click on it, if they don't already know who you are, they need to tell from the thumbnail and the title who you are, what you do, what the video is about, and who this video is for. Those 3 to 4 things need to be communicated to new viewers about your videos. And so just as you're doing your videos, as you're doing your cover art or thumbnails, just ask yourself, how well am I accomplishing that in my videos? And if your videos aren't doing as good as you want, maybe think about those things and start to be a little more intentional about that. So I hope that's helpful. If people have questions about any of that, feel free to leave a question or comment. My email is in the description if you want to send me an email, if you're interested in either joining the Slack group or getting more information from me. I'm always happy to talk to people. I also have a link to my Substack, that where I post a lot of stuff, including stuff beyond what I do on video. And if you want to get on my subscription list, all it takes is your email, and then you'll get notified when I'm, let's say, going to live stream or have new content out. So I really, if you could do anything for me, either subscribe to the channel or go to my Substack and subscribe to that, I would really, really appreciate it. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a great weekend and good luck with your videos. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.